Oh boy, we're back again, guys, talking about the CSGO Player Association, that being the CSPPA, under another accusation out there. First brought to us by Decay involving Flashpoint League. We talked about this in the last couple of weeks. Accusations of unresponsiveness, lack of initiative, and alongside that, a potential conflict, maybe even player poaching with the CS Player Association. Obviously, you would never expect someone who's supposed to act on behalf of all players equally to be involved with potentially poaching players. It was a drastic talk we had in that last video, guys. Now the accusations do continue as well. If you want to look out for Richard Lewis or Thorn or even Decay and others to talk about this, I am sure this will be a spicy talking point going forward, because when it comes time for player associations across all esports out there, we often don't talk about them because, unfortunately so, we've never had one be very fully active, progressive, making great moves at a consistent rate on behalf of all players out there. It's been tough to organize. When it comes time for CSGO, that is the exact same story. Another accusation brought forth by CS Pro, that being Davey, also bringing other pros in on this one as well, where he calls out the CSPPA for being funded by one individual league and not others, and thus presenting itself as a conflict of interest when it comes time for a time where we're actually trying to change the CSGO player schedule, because we have seen more players than ever take their mental breaks or their physical breaks. We are trying to reduce the strain of CSGO players out there and fix the competitive schedule. CSGO Player Association is supposed to have a hand in that, and Davey very promptly called out the fact that if you are funded by one individual CSGO league and not the others, what is to stop you from manipulating or changing that schedule to attune towards the people that are funding you as based by the as compared to the leagues that are not funding you? And I think it was a very good point to make. Again, these are accusations. The CSPPA has been responding on Twitter to all of these, but it's at the very end of the day, with all of these accusations, this is an awful look. Like, reading through all of this stuff has just been it's just been sad. As in the initial thread, they were talking about player health and an increased need for a more sustainable schedule for competing pros, and the CSPPA saying they are reaching out to both players and stakeholders to discuss this issue. Then we have Davey promptly responding, asking if receiving funding via a partnership deal with one of the leagues might be a conflict of interest. So the CSPPA apparently has a partnership deal with one of the leagues, thus is kind of financially tied to one of the CSGO leagues out there. I think it's a great question to maybe beg an answer for. You know, if you are financially tied to one league, what is to stop you from maybe convincing or actually swaying players to compete in said league or for said TO instead of others who you're not financially tied to? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's the point of a conflict of interest. It might not be acted upon. It's the fact it can be acted upon that Davey brings up time and time again, and CSPPA has their responses here and there. It's just I don't know. As the CSPPA state, their core goal is to still improve the schedule, seeking to enter collective bargaining agreements with all tournament organizers, to which Davey, again, swiftly responds and repeatedly brings up, how can there be no conflict of interest if the CSPPA is being funded by one league, and in making this said schedule, who is to say they won't manipulate it in favor of who they're actually being paid by as compared to those who they are, again, like I said, not financially tied to. There's no official response to this. It's actually just kind of a talking point for all of you guys out there. Unless the CSPPA is entering these kind of financial deals and partnership deals that do involve, according to Davey, figures of wealth, money being involved, unless that's actually having them tied to multiple TOs out there, how can we guarantee they will not act on the behalf of that league as compared to others? Now, this might not be a huge issue. He does bring up other issues, though, that being the communication between the CSPPA and other players out there, to which I would respond, the CSPPA has a board of players who were elected to represent the more common pro player base. That communication does not only fall on the player association, it does fall on those players as well, but according to Davey, him, amongst many other players, did not even know about this deal between the CSPPA and the Flashpoint League. So, I mean, there's a lack of communication there, obviously, on some sort of end. I'm not sure who that really does fall on. But the reason why I talk about this is we have Flashpoint League withholding a payment of over $160,000 from the CSPPA, citing many not so good looking things. Then on top of that, we have a pro player also citing other pro players having concerns about the CSPPA. Potentially, the fact that they are being funded or at least have some sort of financial ties to individual leagues and not other leagues. Would that also have them acting in behalf of some leagues according to others, like they've also been accused of acting on the behalf of some players and not all players equally? It's just not a good look, and I don't even know where to go from here. Look out for Richard Lewis and Thorn to talk about this, guys. I'm sure they can go way more in depth. I will say at the end of the day, I think everyone can agree, it's not a good look. I'm sure CSPPA, that's a heck of a tongue twister. Honestly, I'm surprised I got that right throughout the entire video, is drafting some sort of response, maybe a response in full to all of these accusations. We will see where it goes from here, guys. We will see if Flashpoint League pay them out. We will see what comes of Davies' concerns as well. And if the communication does get fixed, I have no idea what the future is going to be with the CSPPA and their ties to the Counter-Strike professional scene. We will see where it goes from here. Drink the water, drink the coffee. I'll see you guys back here sometime soon, okay? Take care of yourself.